Welcome back to the Leader Revolution, the underdog's playbook for creating rapid innovation, killer teams, and the organization everyone wants to join. I'm your host, Dr. Simeon Roger, and today we're going to be talking about Prove to Me You're Serious. Finding and retaining top talent in the new economy. Are you ready for this? Part 1. Recently, I was talking to a friend who interviews employees leaving his high-tech organization. Not surprisingly, he's really interested in why they've decided to leave, what motivated them to go elsewhere. And he told me he just interviewed an obviously talented computer engineer. When asked if he was leaving for more money, the engineer shocked my friend by saying, "No, I'm leaving because you're not serious." As he explained further, he said, "I'm leaving because none of us here are allowed to use our talents to the fullest. No one is striving for excellence and innovation, no matter how much the bosses drone on about it. My colleagues here are smart people, but most of them are just putting in time. I want to work in a place where I can do cutting-edge work." When your organization can't hold on to top talent, that story beautifully illustrates the often unrecognized core issue behind your brain drain. Now, naturally, there's a ton of advice out there to be found on the subject, and unfortunately, well, most of it's bad. Why? Because it's pretty much all grounded in the industrial age idea that employees are basically commodities to be selected from a list of requirements, used and disposed of, an attitude implicit in the term human resources itself. Organizations working on this basis try to slap on all kinds of fancy new features to this crashed operating system, from open concept workplaces to new recruitment initiatives for millennials to social media network-based recruitment. This keeps consultants busy. But the point they're all missing is that the human resources approach is based on a flawed paradigm. If you really want to excel at drawing talented people to you, motivating them, and getting them to stick around, there's no getting around the fact that you have to dump this industrial age nonsense. The emerging economy is starting to punish organizations that objectify their workforces, and so is the talent pool. So what's the alternative? Well, let's go back to the basics for the moment. Forget about organizations, companies, employers, and employees. Let's assume that none of those concepts exist, and your sole job is facilitation. Human beings are by nature creators and achievers, as well as beings with needs and wants. So when you approach anyone, you should have just 2 questions. What do you create or want to create? And what do you most need or want? Talk to enough people, you can begin to match the creative talent to the people who want what it produces, and to the people who can collaborate to make it even better. It sounds almost too simple, right? And that's because after a couple of centuries worth of industrial propaganda, we can hardly remember a time when human beings worked for their own or each other's benefit and not for the benefit of the company, the shareholders, or some other organization. We have become like horses with blinders on. The truth is that the best leaders can take this approach and make it practical and profitable for everyone. And this is very much what happens every day in the most flexible emerging sectors, from green tech to app development. Now, a little tutorial for you in what not to do. As you may have seen, when many organizations go talent hunting, the first thing they do is they make a shopping list, representing an imaginary array of traits, experience, and training that their ideal employee should have. Then they devise a series of hoops through which their candidates must jump to demonstrate that they meet these criteria. They are, in effect, looking for their perfect commodity and testing to make sure they've got it, much as an aerospace company might test a new alloy. Now, the moment you take this approach, you're setting yourself up for failure. All you've done is to create a series of barriers that prevent you from actually getting to know your potential coworkers and letting them get to know what you're all about. Why? Because all those qualifications and years of experience don't represent ability. They're conventionalized proxies for ability, just as interviews and tests are proxies for workplace competence. Worse, that list of requirements is not based on what's possible. It's based on preconceptions about what your organization does now and how it does it. It's an approach designed to fit a new cog into the machine. If you really want to get ahead, you need the people who can transform whatever processes you assign them to oversee. You need people whose ideas and efforts can help you grow, not remain static. Now, two related problems with this approach are overpitching and feathering. Overpitching. This means requiring qualifications, experience, and talent you won't be able to fully utilize in the position. You can guarantee that anyone whose talents you can't fully utilize is going to leave as soon as possible. As for feathering, that means adding requirements that are not objectively necessary to be able to do the job, but simply serve to exclude a great deal of the talent that's out there. Now, if the people who would be willing to do the job feel themselves able to do it, but don't have those extraneous qualifications, are driven away, and those who do have the qualifications look and say, "What? I could do so much more," who are you left with? Well, too bad, nobody. So if the old process in all of its incarnations doesn't work, then what does? Well, if you want to find talent, then tell the world what you want to do and why. Here's a tip though. We want to increase our profit margins because money is good. And we want to execute someone else's policies because like they pay us. Well, those are wrong answers. If your mission is inspirational, people will break down your doors with good ideas that they want to contribute. Now, if you can't do that, if you can't frame it that way, then give people a problem to solve, a process to improve. Engage their creativity, and they will come. Now, in part 2, we'll cover the all-important next phase, what to do when those talented people start banging on your door. Yes, that's a great position for you to be in as an organization, but only if you know how to handle it. So you have to be willing to take all this to its logical conclusion. You need a truly 21st century organizational culture. To find out what that means, be sure to grab your free copy of Resilience Culture using the link below. I'm Dr. Simeon Roger for the Leader Revolution. We'll see you next time.